Lauren Bennett lived a life that looked perfect from the outside. At 34, she had a good job as a marketing coordinator in Seattle, a charming craftsman-style home in a quiet neighborhood, and a husband who had always been good to her. Ben, her husband of 9 years, was steady, loyal, and kind. He cooked dinner when she worked late, remembered to warm her car on cold mornings, and texted her sweet reminders like pick up milk or love you, drive safe. There was comfort in their routine. But lately, that comfort had begun to feel like a slow fade, like something vital inside her had gone quiet. She hadn't told anyone how lost she felt, not even her closest friends. She smiled through get-togethers, answered I'm fine when asked, and convinced herself that being content was enough. But content wasn't the same as happy. Somewhere along the way, life had become flat, predictable, like watching a movie she already knew the ending to. Then, something unexpected happened. Her best friend Sarah signed them both up for a weekend creative writing workshop. You used to love writing, Sarah said. Maybe you just need to wake that part of you up again. Lauren hadn't written since her 20s. It used to be her dream to be an author, to tell stories that made people feel something. But life got busy. She met Ben, work took over. Slowly, the dream got pushed to the side, then boxed away entirely. So when she walked into the downtown Seattle event space for the workshop, she didn't expect much, just a quiet day to herself. She didn't expect Ethan. He was the guest speaker, a published author in his mid-30s. Tall, relaxed, with dark eyes that seemed to hold a story of their own. His voice was calm but full of passion as he spoke about writing with honesty. About pulling truth from the parts of yourself you usually hide. The best writing, he said, is when you stop pretending and just let the truth breathe. Lauren watched him, something stirring in her. It wasn't just attraction, it was recognition. He reminded her of who she used to be, of the version of herself that still wanted more, still believed there was beauty in risk. When the workshop ended, most people left quickly, but Lauren stayed behind to thank him. She kept it brief, just a few words. But Ethan smiled at her like he genuinely appreciated it. That evening, Lauren went home to her usual life, Ben making pasta in the kitchen. The soft hum of a sports game on TV. Everything was the same. But she wasn't. Her mind kept drifting back to Ethan's words. Stop pretending. Let the truth breathe. She lay awake that night, not thinking about Ethan exactly, but thinking about herself. When was the last time she felt excited? Not safe, not comfortable excited. When had she last done something brave? Something just for herself? The next day, she received an email from the writing group. They were hosting a smaller follow-up session the next weekend. Ethan would be leading it. She almost deleted it. She had chores to do, errands, a weekend with Ben. But her finger hovered over the delete button, and then didn't press it. The next Saturday, Lauren found herself back in that same room. This time, there were only about 15 people. Ethan spotted her and smiled in recognition. Glad you came back, he said. They talked briefly during the break about writing favorite books, what inspired them. It wasn't flirtatious, just easy. He asked her if she was writing anything now. She hesitated, then admitted she hadn't written in years. Start, he said simply. You still have something to say. She left with a strange energy in her chest. That night, while Ben watched a movie in the living room, Lauren sat at the kitchen table with her laptop and opened a blank document. Words didn't pour out, but something began. Just a few paragraphs. A scene, a feeling. A character who had been stuck inside her finally found her voice the next week. Lauren emailed Ethan. She attached her short piece and asked for feedback. He responded kindly, thoughtfully. You write with feeling, he said. It's raw. That's good. Their emails continued, always about writing, always respectful. But underneath, Lauren knew she looked forward to them more than she should. Ben didn't notice the change at first. If anything, he seemed relieved she had found a new hobby. You seem lighter lately, he said, handing her a cup of coffee one morning. Lauren smiled, guilt catching in her throat. Just needed to wake up a little, I guess. But what she didn't say was that something else had woken up to an ache she hadn't felt in years. A longing she couldn't explain. Not just for Ethan, but for herself, for the woman she had buried under years of being careful. Responsible, safe. One evening, Ethan invited her to a public book signing he was doing at a local bookstore. It wasn't personal, not really. He said she might enjoy meeting other writers. She told Ben she was going to dinner with Sarah at the bookstore. Ethan lit up when he saw her. Not in a dramatic way, just a warm, honest smile that made her stomach flip. They didn't talk long during the event, but after, as people trickled out, they ended up standing near the entrance together, chatting about everything and nothing. The sky had darkened outside. Rain fell in soft sheets against the windows. "I don't usually come to things like this," Lauren admitted. "I'm glad you did," Ethan said. "You look different tonight." Lauren blinked. Different how? Lighter. Like something in use waking up. She didn't know what to say. Her heart beat faster. "I should go," she said softly. "Yeah," he nodded. "Take care, Lauren." She turned and left, her footsteps echoing behind her. She didn't look back, but she could feel his eyes on her. When she got home, Ben was asleep on the couch. She sat beside him, watching him for a moment. His face was peaceful, familiar. She didn't touch him. Didn't wake him. Instead, she went to bed, eyes open, heart racing. Torn between the life she had and the part of her that had just begun to come alive again. Lauren didn't plan to cross a line. But the risk was already in motion the week after the bookstore event. Lauren found herself thinking about Ethan more often than she expected. It wasn't a simple crush, but a strange mix of admiration and curiosity. Every time her phone buzzed with a new email from him, she felt a small flutter in her chest. Their messages were mostly about writing techniques, story ideas, encouragement, but beneath the words, something unspoken seemed to connect them. It was as if Ethan saw a side of Lauren that even she had forgotten. Ben noticed the change. Lauren was quieter at breakfast, distracted at work, and sometimes smiled to herself like she was holding a secret. He asked if something was wrong. She shook her head, telling him she was just tired. He believed her, but a part of him wondered if she was pulling away. Lauren's life became a delicate balancing act. She didn't want to hurt Benny, had been nothing but kind and loving. But the spark she felt around Ethan was new and confusing. At work, she found herself writing scenes about characters caught between loyalty and desire. It was as if her heart was exploring emotions she had locked away. When the writing group invited her to a casual meetup at a cafe downtown, she hesitated but decided to go. Ethan was there. The room was filled with writers sharing ideas and stories, laughter blending with the aroma of coffee. Ethan greeted her with a smile that felt warm and genuine, not flirtatious. They slipped into conversation easily, sharing thoughts on favorite authors and how writing was sometimes like therapy, Lauren told Ethan about the story she was working Anna, woman struggling to find herself again after years of routine. Ethan listened carefully, then said, "It's brave to dig deep like that. Most people never try." His words stayed with her. After the meetup, Ethan walked her to the bus stop. The evening air was cool, the city lights shimmering behind them. They talked about small things, their favorite movies, places they wanted to visit. It was simple, but the connection grew stronger. Lauren felt seen, heard, like she was more than just a wife or a worker bee. Back at home. The quiet between her and Ben felt heavier. She longed to share this new part of herself, but feared what it might mean. Ben was waiting for her, the same man she married, yet she felt worlds apart. Lauren's emails with Ethan continued. Sometimes he sent her links to poems or articles about writing. Other times he simply asked how she was doing. Their conversations became a small refuge in her busy life. One afternoon, Lauren sat by the window reading Ethan's latest message. He praised her recent writing attempt, encouraging her to trust her instincts. The kindness in his words made her heart ache with longing, not just for him, but for the person she once was and hoped to become again. She realized she was risking something precious. She was stepping into feelings she had promised herself she'd never explore. But the pull was too strong to resist at work. Her mind wandered. Meetings blurred, deadlines approached. But her thoughts were with Ethan. She wondered if he felt the same pull, or if she was imagining it all. Was this just a harmless distraction, or the beginning of something that could change everything? One evening, Ben came home early. He looked tired but smiled when he saw her. They ate dinner in comfortable silence, but Lauren's heart was heavy. She wanted to tell him about Ethan, to confess the way she felt alive again. But the words caught in her throat. Instead, she reached out and held Ben's hand across the table. He squeezed it gently, not knowing the storm inside her days later. Ethan invited her to a small, private reading he was hosting for local writers. It wasn't publicized. Just a quiet gathering in a cozy room filled with soft light and the scent of old books. Lauren told Ben she was meeting Sarah for dinner. Ben nodded, trusting her. He wanted to believe she was happy, that she had found something to brighten her days. At the reading, Lauren felt a rush of excitement mixed with nerves. Ethan's voice filled the room as he read from his new novel words about loss, hope, and the risk of loving when it hurts. Afterward, they talked quietly. Ethan complimented her writing, and Lauren felt warmth spread through her chest. "You've changed," Ethan said softly. "You're glowing." Lauren smiled, unsure what to say. She wanted to tell him everything, the loneliness, the doubts, the fear of what might happen. But instead, she whispered, "I don't know what's happening to me." Ethan reached out and brushed a strand of hair from her face. His touch was gentle, respectful. "I'm here," he said. "Whatever you need." For a moment, the world outside that small room disappeared. There was only the two of them, caught between what was real and what might be. Lauren pulled away, guilt and longing swirling inside her. She knew she had to be careful to keep her life intact, but the feelings were real and the risk was becoming harder to ignore. She left the reading with a mix of hope and fear. As she walked to her car, the rain started to fall softly, washing away the doubts for just a little while. Back home, Ben was waiting. He kissed her forehead and asked about her night. Lauren smiled but said little. That night, as she lay in bed, Lauren's thoughts raced. She was caught between two worlds, the safety of her marriage and the thrill of something new and unknown. She didn't know where this path would lead, but she knew one thing for sure. She had taken a risk she never expected to take, and there was no turning back now. After the private reading, Lauren's world felt charged with tension she couldn't explain. Each day, her thoughts were a whirlwind of doubt and desire. The emails from Ethan kept coming, kind, encouraging, filled with a warmth she hadn't felt in years. He never crossed any obvious line, but every message hinted at something deeper, something unspoken. Lauren kept her distance from Ben, but the gap between them seemed to widen. He was busy with work, and she was busy with her restless heart. She missed the simplicity of their early days, but was afraid to admit she needed more. More passion, more excitement, more herself. One Friday evening, Ethan invited Lauren to a book signing at a small independent bookstore in Seattle. It was a public event, and she told Ben she was meeting Sarah for dinner. Ben smiled, assuming it was just another night out with friends. At the bookstore, the atmosphere was lively but cozy. People shuffled in and out, buying books and chatting. Ethan noticed Lauren the moment she arrived and gave her a warm, genuine smile. They talked briefly before the signing began, exchanging small stories and laughter. After the event, rain began to fall softly. Lauren felt the weight of the secret she was carrying more than ever. The risk she had taken letting herself feel something outside of her marriage had opened a quiet but powerful crack in her world. She knew she couldn't keep living in this half-truth. Something had to give. Ben noticed her distance. His eyes searched for answers in the small silences, in the way she avoided his touch, in the way her smiles didn't quite reach her eyes. He didn't say much, but his worry was clear. One evening, after dinner, he asked gently, "Lauren, is everything okay? You seem far away." Lauren's heart raced. The moment she had avoided for weeks had finally come. She took a deep breath, willing herself to be honest. Ben, I've been feeling lost lately. I've been holding back parts of myself, and I'm sorry. I should have told you sooner. Ben reached across the table and took her hand. Whatever it is, we'll get through it. She looked at him, grateful and scared all at once. I met someone, she said quietly. It's not physical, nothing happened, but I let myself feel something I wasn't supposed to. Ben's face tightened for a moment, but he nodded slowly. Thank you for telling me. Lauren told him about Ethan, the writing group, the emails, the moments when she felt alive again. Ben listened without interruption, absorbing every word. It was hard for him, but he appreciated her honesty. They spent the rest of the night talking, laying their feelings bare. They weren't perfect, and the road ahead wasn't clear. But for the first time in months, they connected in a way that felt real. Lauren realized that the risk she took wasn't just about a feeling outside her marriage, was about risking honesty, risking vulnerability. And that risk had started something important. In the weeks that followed, Lauren and Ben went to counseling together. They worked to rebuild trust and to find the excitement that had once brought them together. Lauren kept writing, but now it was different. It was healing. Not hiding, Ethan remained a part of her story, but as a friend who helped her rediscover herself rather than a secret to hide. Lauren understood that real love wasn't just about passion. It was about choosing to face the hard truths together. One afternoon, Lauren sat at her desk, typing a new story inspired by everything she'd learned, the pain, the hope, the courage to risk. Her heart was full, not because life was perfect, but because she was finally living it honestly.